Hey there, and welcome to the Call Cinema. Tonight I am upstairs, and I have a fan beside me just in case I have to turn it on because it is super hot up here. But I did not want what happened last night to be happening again. So we're going to try one upstairs, and then tomorrow we're going to try one downstairs in the new location that I moved it to because I'm having issues keeping a connection downstairs. So if you watched my video last night, thank you so much. And if you stayed for the whole thing, you rock. Or if you came and watched it back afterwards, you're totally awesome. So I want to do something different tonight. Hey there, Chris. I was originally planning to do a Mill Creek video, but I have a couple of Mill Creek things coming in the mail that I ordered. So I'm kind of waiting on that. I'm going to break it up, I think, into two videos, actually, because I want to do Mill Creek eras. So basically, Mill Creek, kind of the old school stuff, and Mill Creek, the new school stuff. But tonight I want to do something a little bit different, and I'll be honest with you, initially I thought maybe I pre-tape this one. But then I thought, no, let's do something. Let's have a bit of fun up here. I'm up in my room. I'm going to turn on the fan for a second. I want to see how much noise this fan makes, so I need you guys to tell me this before we start the video. So you ready? Are you sure? I expect an answer, by the way. So there's no, like, what's the word my grandparents use? No lollygagging about this. So how much can you hear this? Huh? A lot? Hey, that's fun. Does it drown out my voice? Can you hear me well? Very loud. Well, if this video goes long, it's going to get loud every once in a while. Just so you know, because I draw the line at passing out in the heat here. So, okay, anyway, what I decided to do today was do something just a little bit differently, and I really had a good time with my overlooked Scream Factory video, and that one 100% came from just this, and I hope you guys that watched the video that didn't check out the Just This podcast or have either already done that since then or are going to be doing that like tonight, for instance, when you get ready to relax and chill out. So what I decided to do, I finished off like one of my box sets that I wanted to review. And not the one you think, not the Lenzy one, that's behind me over there. So that's the video and so on. That may be pre-taped actually. But what I decided to do was take 5 box sets that I have in my collection that I don't think get talked about enough on YouTube, or the people that mention them too much, and give my thoughts on these and try to convince you of why you should own them. And you can give me ideas as well on ones you think that I should get that I don't have. I have my tea tonight, so cheers. Anybody that's having a drink with me, thank you. But anyway, let's start. Now the first one is a bit of a cheat because I don't think the box set's around anymore, but you can buy all 3 of the films on their own from this company. But I wanted to go through, which way do I start? No, you know what? Let's start with the big one. I'm going to start with the one that I'm going to say, unfortunately, most of you, hey Vince, welcome, man. Hey there, Amy. Hey there, Alan. That, oh nice, Snaps Popcorn Steelbook. Cool choice. That I think everybody really should think about getting if they don't have it in their collection. And I think, sadly, not enough people do. And I just finished the box set tonight. I got it a while back, and I took my time with it. I initially started watching it, like really going into it deep, but then I really found that I was starting to enjoy it. And I knew that eventually the box set was going to come to an end. So I did something a little bit different. I started watching some other stuff because I was enjoying it, and I knew that once it was done, there wasn't going to be another one like this. And that, I felt kind of like a happiness that one, that the box set lived up to the expectations. Well, like more than I expected it to, and but a little bit of sadness in the fact that you don't see stuff like this very often, and I don't know why, but you should. And that is the one from Wkrp Films. And there's no nudity there, just so you know. It's like just a Heather Joseph. And this is not at all what you think it is. So if you're looking at this thinking this is an adult or XXX type of title, it's not. It's not that at all. It is Scorpio Films. They were a company in the Netherlands. It's a Dutch sex wave collection. And the name can be a bit... it's not that the name is false, because it's not. The name itself is pretty spot on in certain ways, but not in the way that you think. See, my fear is that a lot of people are going to look at the cover and the painting of the girl, and they're going to see, you know, the Dutch sex wave collection, and they're going to think adult or XXX or something, you know, something like some, you know, one of the Vinegar Syndrome, like the adult titles. And in doing so, they're going to pass up one of the best box sets I got this year. So I'm going to quickly ask this and see if I can get an answer, because you guys are super quiet, and not liking the quietness, by the way, guys. Does anybody here right now have this in their collection? Is this on anybody's shelf? It's not an adult title, though. No, I got a lot of adult titles, obviously. What? There's usually like 3 or 4 people that come in. Sometimes it's the same person coming in under different accounts, and I know who they are, but it's okay. No, I appreciate the fact that you typed there, Deathbound. So there are 4 films in this collection, and there are some short films as well. So I guess the best thing, like the easiest thing, the way to put this, is that Scorpio Films was a company that was done primarily by a couple guys, and they wanted to make cinema. They wanted to make cinema in the Netherlands. They wanted to make like Dutch films, but they didn't want to make what they'd seen already out there. A lot of it was very stale, and there's like documentaries. There was a lot of like, but nothing. They wanted to take the world of exploitation and the world of arts cinema and put them together, mix them together, and do a whole new kind of like cinema for their country. And they did. And eventually they would hit up on a film, and it's in the set here, that would make them millions. And unfortunately, only a few years later, they would be closing the studio down, because, you know, things happened, and I really think this is worth looking into. So this is the set right here. I'll make sure there's nothing on here. Okay. So the set itself comes with a 16-page booklet, and there we got the creators of Scorpio right there in their youth. Hey there, George. Oh, here's a better picture of them. And basically it was, and I'm going to butcher the names just so you know right now. And he said them like when I was watching the features too, but I apologize. But there's Pim de la Pera and Wim Verstappen. And they came together. Obsessions is one of these films, actually, Vince. So Obsessions is one of the early ones that they did. So if you've seen Obsessions, you're getting cool points already. Obsessions, see, Cult Epics will put out movies separately, but they'll put them in as a box set, and they'll put like add on like a booklet in that there as well. So if you have seen Obsessions, then you've seen one of the films on this set. What did you think of Obsessions, by the way? Because people don't realize the kind of stuff, like some of the people behind Obsessions. So Obsessions is the first film on here. It is kind of perfect. So it's a very different film. I don't really want to say it's a giallo, but it's their version of kind of a giallo. It's a bit of a thriller. The ending, Vince, did you get a shock with the ending without saying what it is? because I did. The soundtrack here is, I think, by Bernard Herrmann, so which is amazing. We're still trying to get like, do you want to do like get it down well for English language, so they reached out to a friend of theirs, and by the name of Martin Scorsese, to actually help with some of the dialogue in the movie Obsessions. So Obsessions has quite a big like it's there. Every single one of these films are different. Now, one thing that they do have in common is there is an element in the same way that you watch an Argento or a Martino or a Deodato film. There is going to be an element of like of sexuality that's going to like, in some way or another, going to help to drive the narrative of the story, like you'd see in like Birth, Crystal Plumage or something like that. In Obsessions, basically, what we have is a guy that kind of in a rear window type of way, except it's in his own apartment, who is a bit of a peeping Tom, and he is watching the apartment that is next door to him, and he suddenly realizes there's something extremely wrong going on, but he doesn't know exactly what that is, and it gets intense, it gets unique. Hey there, Justin. And it gets pretty amazing. Now, the second film is probably my favorite of all four of these. As good as Obsessions was, Frank and Eva, which sounds like the most unassuming film, is the one that really struck me. Now, Frank and Eva was the cinematic debut of Sylvia Kristel, who will go on to the Emmanuelle films, and with as long as much other things, but that's what she's famous for. But Frank and Eva was... So Frank is this guy, and he is he lives life. He's a force of nature, and this is like at a time when it's like the late '60s, early '70s, basically. When the whole kind of like modern day like kind of like free love was going around, and Eva is constantly frustrated with Frank because Frank is always he's the ladies' man, and she's his. They have this really weird, unusual connection. At the beginning of the film, we first meet this like guy that's like lying in a bed, and it looks like he's killed himself. There's a gun there, and we find out soon enough that this is just something that he does, that he actually thinks about killing himself, but he doesn't do it. And he goes through this like big dramatic thing within the film, and it is brilliant, and it's really hard to explain it, but it's something that you kind of just got to see. The third film on here is the one that made The Millionaires, and it is called Blue Movie. And I know what you're thinking. It's probably it's going to be about the adult industry. It's not actually. It is about a recently paroled man who basically is. You got to watch what he's doing. He's on parole. The city has given him an apartment to stay at, and he's been in jail for 5 years. So there are like most everybody in the building except for 3 women are married, and he is told that he has to stay away from the married women because that's morally not going to look good when it gets to his parole hearing, and obviously that doesn't happen. And it's a really complex little story. It's a character piece, but it's really well done, and there's some really cool acting in it. Now, the one thing about these is that they do have nudity in all of these films, and they are very, very fair with that. So if you are a female here and you're thinking that it is just female nudity in these films, no. The guys are oftentimes more nude than the girls are, and I mean that in the way like it's full frontal. So that's something to know, and I like the fact that that they're even keel with that. The last one is the one that I just finished, and it's called My Nights with Susan, Sandra, Olga, and Julie. That is the least kind of like sexually like done film out of all these here. There's an aspect of that, and it's definitely is important for the plot points, but it's a film about madness and how you can kind of get lost in it. There are various characters in the film that are insane. And I don't mean like little insane, I mean like murderously insane. We have two kind of like nymphomaniac like females that are spoiler alert, kill a man at the opening of the film, and it follows from there. I don't want to give too much away. Anyway, aside from like the four films, which I thought were bloody brilliant, all four of these films are really good. There's more, and I showed you the booklet, but there are short films on there as well. There's 3 10-minute short films. Heartbeat San Francisco, Jupe, and Jupe Strikes Again. Now, Jupe and Jupe Strikes Again are the two best of the short films, and they're very comedic. Basically, Jupe is this character who is kind of like this awkward dude. Hey there, and ready? We're doing 5 box sets that you should not pass up on, and this is hands down, probably of the 5 of them, this is my favorite. Like, I love all these sets, but this is my favorite. So Jupe is this very, he's not Charlie Chaplin-esque, but he's very klutzy, he's very clumsy, and he's awkward, and things don't go well for him. So basically, in Jupe, for instance, he reads his horoscope, and basically the horoscope basically tells him, now's the time to, this is the day you're gonna to get the girl that you really like, and go all out. It's happening tonight. So he goes over there. She's just come back. She's been away for a few years, and like he's known her all his life. But things continuously happen to stop him from proclaiming his love. And it's really funny, actually. The Jupe Strikes Again, which is the follow-up to that one, is another like 10-minute short film that was shot a year later. And basically, it's really cool, too. In this one, Jupe is staying at a friend's house, at his friend Bernard's house. Bernard is gone. And a lady that Jupe kind of likes comes over. And it looks like there's going to be some romantic sparks flying there, but an older lady actually brings her daughter over, her granddaughter over, and just assumes, because Bernard was like babysits, that Jupe is going to babysit as well, and that's the end of that. Thanks, but not the end of the story. It's funny. There are interviews on here. There are some that are written. There are some that are out and out, like they're like spoken interviews. There's a written one with Martin Scorsese, but there's script notes by Scorsese actually on here as well. But there are some like interviews with some of the filmmakers and the producers. There are introductions to some of the films. I would say watch the film first before the introductions, because sometimes the introduction can give away a little bit of the plot points, especially if you're going to watch a movie like Obsessions, because Obsessions is one of those movies that has a kind of a gut punch ending that you should not miss out on. And if you have not seen this set, if you do not have this set in your collection, it is by Cult Epics, and Cult Epics, you've done a great job. This is an amazing set, and everybody should have this in their collection. So there you go. Scorpio Films, the Dutch Sex Wave collection. If you don't have it and you've been put off by the fact that it just says Dutch Sex Wave and you think that's the whole thing of the film, or you think it's an adult set, it's not. It's an adult set in the way that they are films that are for adults in that they don't talk down to you, and I really, really enjoy that. Man, you guys are quiet. You bought the Speed Racer Complete Series? Nice. Doesn't have the original Japanese. That is not good. But still, Speed Racer. Hopefully you got it for a good price. So that is the first one. Before I go on to the next box set, any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts? Hey there, Scholar. I'm sure you have it already, but Cult Epics, the Scorpio Films Dutch Sex Wave box set, pick it up. It's really, really good. I will say that although I've so the next one was put out by 88 Films. This was initially put out in a collector's case, though there's nothing like that's proprietary to the collector's case. Is that first box that's still in print? Yeah, definitely. I think it is. And ready, I picked mine up from Unobstructed View. So I know you're Canadian as well, and you'd get yours pretty fast. That's where I got mine from. They had like a 50% off sale at the time, and so I grabbed it then. And Unobstructed has a lot of big sales. Power Rangers. That is totally not true. You ragmen have never seen the Power Rangers. Or if you have, I'm guessing you probably saw like maybe a Mighty Morphin, and that's about it. Because that's the hill I'll fight you on, ragman. Behind me now, if you haven't seen, I have all 4 of the first, like, so this is in the wrong order there, the first 17 seasons. So basically from the original Saban era to the Disney era, which is kind of the more, ironically, more adult era. Ultra Q are very different. I don't have the Ultra Q set yet, Amy. As you can see behind me, I've got, can you see? Maybe you can't. I can. So I have Ultra Man and Ultra Ace. I have a couple other ones coming, actually. Ultra Q is the only one I got left to get in the Legacy series. So that'll let you know. Mighty Morphin, although it's the most popular Eggman, is probably also the most... I love Mighty Morphin for what it is, for starting it, but Mighty Morphin's kind of the more juvenile of the series. It gets more intense. People die in Power Rangers. Villains have complete arcs. It gets really good when the series basically has one season. It's like it's one storyline. I've heard a lot about that Baron Spider episode. I'm arachnophobic, but I think, for that I should be able to do it. But it is much, I have to understand, when Ultra Q was done, Ultra Q was meant to be like Twilight Zone. It's meant to be like a cross between Twilight Zone and it's pretty much, if you've seen, here, let me get it. This. This here. Ultra Q, a lot like this, just with monsters. But as you've probably noticed, although there are monsters in the episodes, it is, actually I'm going to talk this a little bit, the monsters are pretty much downplayed as opposed to what they would be in like an Ultraman season. When Ultraman gets really good, Ultra 7 is when it hits its peak for me, for the early shows. And then get Ultraman, Ultra 7, then I think it's Return of Ultraman, and Ultra Ace. So that's the ones that are out now. And I think the next one coming out is Ultra Terror. And Super Sentai do deaths way more. They do, actually. They do a lot of deaths in those. But I got distracted for a second. Sorry about that, guys. But yes, Ultra Q, by the way, even if you don't like Ultraman or anything like that, and you like the horror aspect and the science fiction aspect, and you like Sentai, or you like just that type of stuff, you just finished watching season 1? Right on, man. Right behind me. That's season 1, right? I got season 2 there as well. It's just hidden behind there. But Ultra Q is the one to start with, because it's going to shock you. It's going to surprise you. Because if you go in to watch Ultra Q and you expect like a Sentai or even a Power Rangers or even a later Ultraman, when it got kind of cheesy for a little bit, especially in the Showa era, you're going to be really surprised. You're going to be really, really surprised, because it is weird and unique and creepy and different than most everybody expects. So when everybody picks up Ultra Q, and it's this black and white, moody, atmospheric series, it can be a little bit slower than Ultraman, because there's not a lot of there's no fighting. Ultraman's not jumping in to cut off people's heads. There's no Ultraman. That doesn't happen to the next series. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, Ultra Q is pretty much it is meant to be like an Outer Limits-y type, Twilight Zone type series. That's what they initially wanted. And it's just that the guy that made it had worked with Toho before. And he'd created a lot of the Godzilla monsters. So he still had connections with them. And he was able to use some suits and stuff like that within the series. But it was meant to be a much more serious, much more somber series. And people go into it expecting an Ultraman type thing. And they sometimes get a bit disappointed because it is meant to be kind of more leisurely paced, a little bit creepier, a little bit more adult. And it isn't until, and it's a big like tonal whiplash because you go through Ultra Q, and it's like it's adult and stuff, and then you get to Ultraman, and it's more kind of what you expect, except like in Japan, it's it gets more like, they get more to more of the action stuff, and all of a sudden it's Ultraman, and there's still a bit of mystery to it. Ultraman is Japanese with subtitles, and I would not have bought it if it was dub. I mean, I'll buy. There's a Birth of Ultraman set came out that that has like a few episodes, random ones that they found dubbed, because you can't get hey there, Kay. You can't get like the Ultraman series like with a good dub. So yeah, if you're gonna get something like that, like especially the early stuff, like the subtitling is gonna be pretty amazing. Do I have Babes in Toyland? I think I actually do have that. So you mentioned one that I do have. All right, the second set, because we got to eventually get to it. I'm going to be doing an Ultraman-centric video down the road where we'll talk about all the stuff that's out there. I am slowly getting this Ultraman series, the legacy sets. I got 2 of them behind me. I have 2 more coming. There's a spoiler alert. That's what's coming next week. But that's what's coming next week. So I lost my voice, my breath for a second. That's the truth. Hell, yeah, I got this one at Spencer's, which is a store I love, but I haven't got 2 of them in a while. Fox. It was pretty bad. All right, so Children of the Corn trilogy. This was put up by 88 Films. What I love about the box set kind of component of this, and I think you can probably find this somewhere, like if you live in the UK. But even if you can't, you can find the movies on their own. I love the look of the set. This looks to me like if you were to go in a store and and there's like a pocket book place, like a place with paperback novels. This looks just like Children of the Corn. If it was like if you're picking up the novel and there was like a new artwork for Children of the Corn, this is what that reminds me of, and I actually really like that. Now there are, of course, this is the first 3 Children of the Corn films. The first one my kids hate, by the way. There is alternate artwork in here. This one here is the one that has most of the features for this one. Well, you still got the films though. You got the best part of it, Scholar though. Because this one here is a feature-length documentary on Donald P. Brochers. And Donald P. Brochers is a producer of the Children of the Corn series, but not just the Children of the Corn series. He produced the movie Angel, which came out from Vinegar Syndrome, Crimes of Passion, an amazing film with Kathleen Turner and Anthony Perkins, Doppelganger with Drew Barrymore, Two Moon Junction, if you're a Twin Peaks fan, you know that, the movie Vamp, and a ton of others, like movies like Meatballs films, like Meatballs 4 and stuff like that. He produced those as well. So this is an 83-minute documentary on basically on him, and he talks about all the Children of the Corn films, going through all of them. He talks about like all the films that he's produced, and it is really fascinating. It's really interesting, and it comes with a booklet as well, a little booklet here. I'm so hot right now. Even shows some of the classics collections on the back. And it has artwork, alternate artwork. You're upset. That is an obsession, man. But it's not like really, like, see this? This artwork here, there's no real big difference except for the fact that it's missing the, that 18, that's 18 certificate. 18, right? Yeah. I love the artwork on the disc. Does this kind of remind you of, like, if anybody's got the Amityville set from Vinegar Syndrome? Does this kind of remind you of that? My kids would kill for Kamen Rider to literally kill for Kamen Rider to come out on DVD or Blu-ray. They're huge fans. My oldest is the biggest fan of that series you're ever going to see. Next up is Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. Feature-wise on here, not as much as the first one. There is, what's really neat about this one? Oh, with the disc of the, It reminds me of when you open up the Amityville set. It's got this kind of like this Tales from the Dark Side type of look, and that kind of had it too. So, and this one has a work print of pretty much the first positive print of the film. So you're gonna get like a bigger, it'll be a rougher print, but aside from like the regular Blu-ray, you're gonna get like a work print of it as well. There is subtitles, theatrical trailer, reversible artwork, which is going to be pretty much like, very much, I'll show you here, like this. And I do apologize, there's not as much light as there is downstairs. I've actually thought about bringing my light upstairs for doing these videos, and I might actually do that. Not tonight though. It's too freaking hot tonight. And last but not least is Children of the Corn 3. This is one of my favorites, actually, Urban Harvest. It gets underrated. Sadly, the only feature that Urban Harvest has is a featurette talking about the remake of Children of the Corn that came out a while back. And yeah, it's you don't really need to see that. But there's the alternate. I'm really peeved by the whole thing here. Here's the alternate artwork. Hey there, Richard. For Children of the Corn 3. I actually forgot how good that was. I apologize, it's a little dark here today. But that's, this is the last one you're going to have to see that type of thing on. So if you don't have it, though the box set I don't think is still available, all three of these films are still available to buy. I do recommend getting all three of them. I do think that each one of them has something that's really worth owning. The feature-wise, Urban Harvest is a bit of a letdown, but when it comes to the film, I think Urban Harvest definitely stands its own. And I can honestly say that Urban Harvest may be my favorite of those three films. And that actually the original Children of the Corn is probably my least favorite. And that's basically because I cannot stand the lead characters. But at least, hey there, Dave, they're not as bad as the lead characters in the short story. Because if you have never read the short story of Children of the Corn, which is in Night Shift, I think it's in Night Shift, then yeah, I need my caffeine, man. Then I have to say right now, do yourself a favor, don't read the short story Children of the Corn, because it has the most unlikable characters that you're ever going to see or read in any Stephen King book or any book as well. Give me a second. It's going to get really loud for a sec. But I need to there you go. Got loud for a second, but it stopped me from passing out. So that's a good thing, right? Hopefully that's a good thing. But the person that's downvoting my video is like, why didn't that bastard pass out? Exactly, you'd be surprised sometimes. So you think, oh, do I really want a long interview? What, aren't there the short ones? But no, sometimes long ones are really good. Now here's one that has very little when it comes to special features, but it has 4 films, and I really dig them. And it is this is the Scream Factory Poison Ivy collection. Now, come on, be honest. Do some of you guys here have this collection in your set, in your house? Hands up if you own this set. And this is actually it's really good. The original Poison Ivy is a lot tamer than you would expect. Hey, Dr. Mark, welcome, man. Hey, Pop. It's a cool one. So basically, it's a lot tamer than you would think. The initial one is anyway. Drew Barrymore and Sarah Gilbert star in the first film. Any scenes where you think you're seeing Drew Barrymore, you're not actually. The girl that would be in the third film was actually the body double in the first film. Jamie Presley, who a lot of people know from My Name is Earl. But the second film is very different. It's called Lily. It stars Alyssa Milano, and it goes more towards what you would expect for that style of film. It's more erotic, but tries to be it's artsy at the same time. And when I say artsy, even to the point that Alyssa Milano is like an art student. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on in this one. Number three goes back to like saying it's really it's like the first one, but it's a more sex version of the first film, with much more nudity. But it's got Jamie Presley, who was gorgeous, and it has the guy that plays Murdoch in in the original MacGyver series, not the new MacGyver series, which is good, but forget that Murdoch. That's why I don't watch a lot of that MacGyver series. But the original MacGyver, the original Murdoch, the guy was almost the lead singer of Queen when after Freddie Mercury passed away, and he said, "No, thank you. I am not doing that. I don't want to be compared because there is no comparing to Freddie Mercury." Well, she got her start in the third as the lead actress. She was a body double in the first. But this was the third one's where she really got like her, you got to see all of her, right? Like, you know what I mean. And the fourth film is one that I thought initially was going to be the tamest film because I thought it was going to be from TV, but it wasn't. Actually, it's definitely one of I really like the fourth film, and I don't think I'd seen it since I seen it like once. But what's really kind of freaky is I used to watch Degrassi, and when Degrassi came back on TV, came back on as Degrassi: The Next Generation. Anybody know Degrassi? Anybody know Degrassi? So the lead, hey there's some, the lead actress in Degrassi, like she's only a little kid when she was in Degrassi, right? She's grown up. Okay, Emma and Andres, you know Emma? Like Spike's daughter. She's in it for like the first 9 or 10 seasons of the show, of The Next Generation, right? So yeah, Emma's gotten bigger, and it took a bit getting used to. It was a little, I don't know. It's like the first time you see Danielle Harris afterwards, because you've seen her growing up watching her in Halloween 4 and 5, and then all of a sudden she's an adult. And, it's a little bit, and you're like, I don't know how I feel. You live up the street with your film Degrassi? Oh. Degrassi Jr. Well, me, obviously. I grew up with that Degrassi too. I was in love with Caitlin as a teenager, but a lot of guys were in love with Caitlin as a teenager. Stacey Mitson, incredible, and I think she's one girl that I expected to go a lot farther, because she's attractive, she's a really good actress, stunning. Anyway, box set number 4. We're getting there. See, it's not taking as long as that was going to take, with all these like swerves on the way. Have I ever had anything stolen from my collection? Yep, a few times actually. Some. I was doing I was selling some stuff, and that was in Ottawa, because I was coming home, and I had some stuff that I had put away, not that I didn't want to sell, and it was put into a room, but people were looking around, and they got into the room that they weren't supposed to get into, and they lifted some of my box sets, which included my complete collection of Highlander, the Anchor Bay series, the Anchor Bay like sets of Highlander, which at the time was the prize of my collection, and a few Shriek Show box sets as well, because I'd bought a few Shriek Show ones, and the big ones before the Slimline cases, and a few other things. So yeah, and I was like, I'm a chill person, but if I had found them, I would, beatings would happen. That's my collection. It's my thing. But I was super, yeah. So when I decided I was going to actually really go into collecting. Oh yeah, Drake gets shot, man. Drake's in the wheelchair. He's got like a serious storyline. Because that's the whole like, God, I can't believe I remember this. This whole spinner thing. When the, anyway, for those that don't know Degrassi, it's a cool show. If you haven't watched it and you're older, get your kids to watch it. It's worth it. They should watch it. Especially if you get teens. So this is the next one, and I'm going to put it back here because you get more light here. So this is the Pete Walker Collection Volume 2. I have everyone from Volume 1 separately on their own, so obviously that's not going to be it. But this has some really neat little ones on here. Flesh and Blood Show is a really fun film, a bit, I don't want to say like lesser, but it's just a bit different. And it's definitely a horror film. Look, it does, in the title, it's the Flesh and Blood Show. It does go for a bit of the Grand Guignol style. What's really neat about it, though, is that the opening sequence of the film was originally done in 3D. And because the opening sequence of this film was done in 3D, as a bonus feature, the opening sequence of the film is on here as an extra, the 3D version of it, and with a pair of anaglyph glasses, the red and blue ones, you can actually see the 3D version of the opening of the Flesh and Blood Show. The second film on here is probably the one that most people know, and it is probably the most famous, especially for Sheila Keith. And that's exactly what I'm going to get next, Vince. And it's Frightmare. Frightmare is creepy and different and unique. There's a nightmare sequence in Frightmare done on a train, which bothered me for a long time. Sheila Keith is incredible in this. And Sheila Keith is one of those actresses, like she was like this kind old lady type person. And they took, and Pete Walker took her and like kind of just made her into this like this horror character, and he did it in a few films. Have a great night there, George. This is gonna be one of my shorter videos, unfortunately, tonight because I'm just tired, and I'm going to the beach tomorrow. Well, that's never bad. 30 people watching the same people watch every day. Well, the thing is, 30 people are watching now. Last night's videos got over 300 at this point. So, yeah. But it is good that I get a lot of the same people come back in. Because that's what you want. That's the one thing that you can hope for when it comes to a channel, is that you get a base that comes back. If it's just random people coming because they just clicked on it, it's always not as good. What beach am I going to? I think we're going to go to Inverness again. That's where we went to last weekend, and it's here in. That's a really nice beach. House of Mortal Sin, again, another fantastic film. Love that one as well, and I definitely recommend it. The other film on here, there's a couple other films. Home Before Midnight, which is not a horror film, but it's a different type of film. But and the next two are kind of like sort of like action films, like shorter films that he did. At least one of them was like around 60-something minutes long, and they are Man of Violence and The Big Switch, aka Strip Poker. And that's not something that you normally associate like Pete Walker with, is like Man of Violence or Strip Poker, but actually not bad films. But the highlights, the gems on this set are definitely Flesh and Blood Show, Frightmare, and House of Mortal Sin. Those three are fantastic. Oh yeah, there's a big page for Degrassi, the original series, right? I know that for sure, and even some of the new ones as well. Like they put them out all free, and even the movie, the 1990 TV film that they did, School's Out, we had the very first cursing, and in a TV show, was in like in a Canadian TV film, was in Degrassi, School's Out. What's my favorite controversial documentary? What's a controversial documentary? I don't know. I like some Michael Moore stuff. Are those controversial? I find these entertaining. I don't know if I got any controversial documentaries. Maybe controversy creates cash, but with the story of Eric Bischoff. Jane Silent Bob. Well, Jane Silent Bob were in the series. See, back in the 90s, there was a show called Jonavision. And it was like this afternoon kind of talk show that... and they decided to do an episode where they... were basically a two-part episode, were what it was like a Degrassi reunion. And he got as many people as he could at the time. And one of the things that they found out, has the same shirt, nice, is that Kevin Smith was a huge fan growing up with Degrassi. Had a huge, just like me, had a huge crush on Caitlin. So when Degrassi eventually came back on the air, they did a two-parter called Jay and Silent Bob Go to Canada, where Jay and Silent Bob, where Kevin Smith and is basically shooting a Jay and Silent Bob film, and he's doing it in Canada at Degrassi. Lance Morissette plays the principal or something like that. Really cool, and Kevin Smith does come back for another episode as well, but he does become kind of a romantic interest. He kind of gets in between Caitlin and I wasn't cool with that because Caitlin belongs with Joey. I'm just putting that out there. If anybody knows the original series, I stick Caitlin and Joey for life. All right, number 5. And I wanted to make sure that all these were very different. We got the Scorpio Film set, which I think is does more drama. There is the, then we get the Children of the Corn set, which is kind of like the horror style one. How do you watch the Lindsay Baker films in English or with Terrence subtitles? Yeah, I hate that it does that. Because I don't always like the dubs on the films. So I had to do that tonight, actually. I was watching a movie tonight, and it automatically put it into the dub version. And I felt insulted. I did. But I was like, why did you just put that into the dub version? So I went back out and I changed the audio on it. You're going to get a good film either way. I would recommend, down the road, checking out them as well. Have I seen Blast Fighter? Yeah. It's a fun little film. I don't like obviously it's not one I can show my better half. Oh no, they have menus. It's just like when you go into the play, it just brings it right into it. When you start the movie, it gives you the English option. It defaults to the English option. Now I think the days of, I'm pretty sure, unless it's Echo Bridge, then the days of Blu-rays with no menus is pretty much like a gone thing. At least as far as I know, anyway. All right, and I wanted to do one animation one too, one that I thought was really worth picking up. Obviously, I don't have the Pink Panther one yet, but I do have this one right here, and this is the Depada Freeling collection. I'm gonna bring it back here. And we have the Inspector, which is a 2-disc set, by the way. Roland of the Ratfink, the Ant and the Aardvark, and Tijuana Toads. Is it really still a thing? The Inspector is the gem of the set. There is a ton of on here. There are 34 episodes for the Inspector. There is documentaries, audio commentaries from people like Freeling, Jerry Beck, Mark Arnold, Greg Ford. I love the way that it opens up like this. But one thing I really, really like is there is a pencil drawing of the Inspector. I'm going to bring it back here where it's light. And the interior artwork. So I really dig that. And every one of these has one of those kind of those cartoon pencil drawings. So you get the Inspector, Tijuana Toads, Roland and Ratfink. I do have a pretty eclectic I have people find it odd sometimes, but it's just something that I like a little bit of everything. So you could be having a conversation with me in real life, and we could be talking horror, and then we'll be talking film noir, and we could suddenly start talking Takatsu or Degrassi. I'm weird like that. But that was a Kino Lorber box set, by the way. And because I knew some people weren't going to be into animation, I would love to see them do more. But I'm not sure if they have the rights anymore. But it'll be interesting to see them do. Right now, I got all the Depada Freelings except for a couple of the Pink Panther ones. I have the out of print DVD of the Grump, like Here Comes the Grump, which I would love to see them do on Blu-ray. Do I like bad movies more than good ones? It's honestly, What do you consider? It depends. Like, I used to think, yeah, well, I like the Z grade movies, as like that. That's kind of my thing. But here's the thing. This is what I found out over time. What's really a bad film? Like, there are some movies we can objectively say is okay. This is a bad film. But what exactly makes a film a great film as well? A lot of people, if you, at least a few years ago, if you said like what's the greatest film ever made or one of the greatest films ever made, they would go Citizen Kane, and I love Citizen Kane. But at the same time, they would say there's been a backlash since then about like, oh, Citizen Kane is so overrated. And I don't think films get like that. Yeah, that's the thing. If a movie holds your interest, if it interests you, if you find if you find it's a movie that keeps you watching, if it's something that you enjoy, then that's a good movie for you. And that's so I don't say I like bad movies or I like good movies. I like everything. So I don't know. I mean, like there should be. I mean, I got the other ones and like singularly. Obviously, that's why I didn't bring them up. Like, oh, but I do have these right here, and I will say right now that if you are a fan of like science fiction or horror, especially the early stuff, then you need. I went to see Batman and Robin in the theater. I will fight on the hill for Batman and Robin because it's fun, and that's what that should be. No, Batman and Batman Returns. That's my jam, right? That's kind of what I like. But Batman Forever, it's a different take on Batman, and as is Batman and Robin. And you'll be hard pressed to find like a prettier looking Batman film, and this is going to include the Nolan ones there. Then like whether like I'm not going to say no, Batman's better than Nolan films. I'm not going on that far out, but it's Batman and Robin is probably the best looking of the Batman films. Like, and they've like, well, the first four anyway are gorgeous, but it's just so colorful. You get it past Mr. Freeze and the Jeep Swansons, Bane, and all that stuff, but it is so well shot and so well lit, and there's just such great colors and such a palette in that film. See, Schumacher is a very visual director, like a very visual director, and he's one that, because of those films, often got like considered like, oh, style over substance type of thing. But Schumacher, and like, oh, Schumacher does really light stuff, but no, he doesn't. Schumacher does really really dark stuff, and this was one of the rare like chances for him to do something really different. And the Batman that he was used to and that he'd seen was more of a comic-y kind of like Batman and Robin style, like the comics that he read as a kid, and that's what he was. The studio kind of like pushed him into. So yeah, because can you imagine if the Joel Schumacher that like some of the earlier films that he made, if he made that style of Batman and Robin, he would have put like the Nolan films to shame when it comes to darkness, because he's a dark dude, man. He was like a dark guy. Because yeah, just look at his filmography. Some of the stuff he did. There's a Nicolas Cage film that he did. Holy crap. See, I don't think so. Batman Begins is okay, but it's definitely not the best written. Like, in my opinion, that's for me. Yeah, no, I can't go. Not for me. What's this? Original Kamen Rider reminds you of Cyborg. Oh, I remember Cyborg 009. I love Kamen Rider though. All right, these are the Outer Limit sets that I want to show you guys. So what's really neat about this is the first Outer Limit set, it's bigger, it's a longer series than the second one. Special features, there's audio commentaries like crazy on this thing. David J. Shaw's got an audio commentary. Tim Lucas, of course, the guy who does Maribava commentaries. Michael Hyatt, Stephen Mitchell, Dr. Reba Wesner, Craig Bean. There's just so many. There's a 40-page booklet on here with an essay by David J. Shaw. This is the booklet for. It's really well done too. Wow, creepy. What am I doing here? I lost your. Ah. Okay, I lost your stuff there, but what's the question? You just purchased Volume 1 Twilight Zone. Excellent. Oh, which series? I like because like we can go like the original series or 80s or the 2000 series or the new one that came out with Jordan Peele. Do you read the book? I like to. I don't have Mara though. Did I watch what? Joel Schumacher's The Wiz. Sidney Lumet directed The Wiz, actually. Very different people. Sidney Lumet has actually did like a lot of like kind of darker films as well. But Sidney Lumet directed the Wiz. Joel Schumacher did Phantom of the Opera though. Bad film, but he did it. So this. Oh, you mean The Outer Limits? Because you said like Twilight Zone, right? Okay, so this is Volume 2, or Season 2. And Mary, there's a good reason to get this one as well. One, there's some really great episodes on Season 2. But, that's okay. These are the special features. So, these here. As you can see, there's like commentaries on the first set, right? So, what they decided to do was, because the second season wasn't as long as the first season, was they were going to take all those special features that would normally be put like some on one set on the other, and said, you know what, this one we want to make sure people get Season 2 as well, even though it's a shorter season. So we're going to like stick all of our features on here. So, and when I say that, I mean like there's an alternate cut of the Forms of Things Unknown. There's an alternate cut of Galaxy Being. Again, audio commentaries. TNT promos with Robert Culp, Martin Landau, Leslie Stevens, William Shatner, David J. Show interview. Penn and Teller did hosting segments for Outer Limits when it was on TNT. That's here as well. There's a Cliff Robertson who was in the Galaxy Being. There's a TNT interview with him. Interview with Joseph Stefano, of course, one of the creators of the series, and writer for Psycho. There is a Joanne Frank interview on here as well. The interview with the casting director Muriel O'Loughlin. Creature Features with David J. Show, a Museum of Television and Radio's like festival where they have like a bunch of them there. Project Unlimited audio commentary as well. ABC's New Year's promo. What's new on ABC in 1963 promo that they did with Edie Adams, kind of promoting the show. TV spots, and of course, again, there is another booklet on here basically that says there's nothing wrong with your set. And it is, again, brilliantly written. And like you get like some really good commentaries. Like Tim Lucas does a commentary for The Premonition with Mary Murphy. There's like another Tim Lucas commentary for The Duplicate Man, which had Ron Randall and Constance Towers in it. Then Herod has got a commentary by Gary Girani and Steve Mitchell. David J. Show did a commentary for the iRobot episode. So yes, so there is a. Ever see that that Will Smith movie iRobot, guys? Well, that sucks. But well, taking it to the source material. But this here, this is iRobot. It's the Isaac Asimov story. It was done originally on the Outer Limits, which I definitely want to watch. I actually kind of want to watch this now. So I'm going to watch after this video, after we stop chatting, guys. I'm going to watch me some Outer Limits. I'm going to see if my better half wants to watch some. I need tea. You got to. More money in your pocket. I know. But, like the actors that have been in the series? Let me get money from your pocket even more. When when I read you some of the guest cast of some of the people that starred in The Outer Limits. So there is Ed Asner, McDonald Carey, Dabney Coleman, Robert Culp, Bruce Stern, Robert Duvall, Mimsy Farmer, Harry Guardino, Richard Jackel, Sally Kellerman, Shirley Knight, Martin Landau, George McCready, Dave McCallum, Vera Miles from Psycho, Leonard Nimoy, Simon Oakland, Warren Oates, the great Warren Oates, Carol O'Connor, Donald Pleasance, Cliff Robertson, Martin Sheen, Henry Silva, Adam West, William Shatner, Lloyd Nolan, Ted Knight, Michael Ansara, Mariana Hill, Tim O'Connor, James Doohan, who's Scully from the God's a horrible accent, and many, many others. So there you go. And Mark Richmond, who was in Friday the 13th, Part 7. He was like the uncle that tried to teach his niece how to swim by throwing her out of a boat. Not really great with the teaching part. I actually really like Ghost Story and Circle of Fear. It used to come on like late at night when I was a kid. So that's something I do want to own. That's definitely that's on my list of ones to get. And just so that I don't get it confused with another one, because I know there was two that came out at the same time. Was that the one that Sebastian Cabot like narrated, like kind of like hosted for some of them? I'm trying to remember if that's the same one. Because there was two that came out around that same time. And if it's the one I'm thinking of, then Sebastian Cabot was kind of like the host, at least for part of the series, anyway. Hey Dan, welcome, man. Receive your Midsummer Director's Cut. Nice. Yes, for the first few episodes. I knew it was in it. Thanks. Because that was killing me. I was just trying to figure it out. Whew. I got my notification today. So if you weren't on my Instagram or my Twitter, I got my notification for Severin. So my Severin label is being made so that my Severin stuff can get sent out. And I am super stoked about that. And so I will eventually have, hopefully it doesn't take too long, 18 Severins to unbox for you guys. I got some limited editions there as well. The Robotic Spires one, that was in the Canadian series, the remake one, right? 18's insane. Well, I got 19 really, but one of them was like I got for my dad for like Father's Day. Because he's a big fan of a certain director, so I had to get him one of that director. I'm not sure if we got him the right one, but it was one that wasn't going to be available after the sale in any format, so I went for that one. So I can tell you that one, it's Bahia Blanca, because my dad's a huge Jess Franco fan, and I noticed that that particular title was only for the length of that sale, and then they weren't going to be like selling it anymore unless you went to a convention where they had any left over. Gamera is supposed to be still coming out AME on the 18th of August. It is coming out with, there's another one coming out at the same time. Hold on, let me think. Oh, Flash Gordon 4K limited edition is coming out from Arrow, I think at the same time. I think they're both being released at the same time, and Pitch Black 4K is getting released from Arrow around that time too. I initially was going to get Pitch Black like this week. I was going to pre-order it, but I had to pick up. I noticed that some of the Ultraman sets that I was looking at were getting really low, and a couple of them are only being sold by like sellers and not by Amazon, especially the newer ones. So I grabbed a couple of the Ultraman sets. Had to cancel my pre-order for Pitch Black for right now, which is a shame because the initial like 4K of Pitch Black is going to have an article, an old Starlog article is going to be in the part of the booklet. And for those that don't know, I'm older, and I grew up with Starlog magazine. It was one of the magazines that I read religiously alongside even before Fangoria, of course. I read Starlog magazine, and I read Starlog until the magazine ended, much in the same way that I did Fangoria. And for those of you that don't know what Starlog is, you missed out, because it used to be this really cool magazine would deal with like sci-fi and fantasy action and stuff like that. Uh, but eventually, sadly, Starlog was no more. If you were a Doctor Who fan here in North America, you gain cool point starters, then you definitely read Starlog, because that's where you get all your Doctor Who news at. They'd have like episode guides. They had the first real big interview. Watch some of my old videos. I apologize for some of the sound quality on some of the older videos. I didn't mic back then, but sometimes it was okay. A big defender in Gorezone. I love Gorezone. I remember the first episode. You know when Gorezone came out, there was another magazine too at the same time. I think it was called Horror Fan or something like that. And there was another one too. Like there's 3 or 4 came out around the same time. When I went to college in 1989, there was the first time I went to college. At around that same time, there's this big peak of horror magazines that were coming out at the time. Have to redo them. You kind of can't redo them. Like they were done years ago, and in a place like it's not like a film. But no, they're still definitely watchable. You might have turned sound a little bit higher, but they're not bad sound or anything like that. Just watch my Jallo and Town. So thank you so much, by the way. I really appreciate it when somebody finds one of my older videos and like watch it. And I really get a kick out of the fact when people like kind of like, and I'll get a comment from a video like it was done like 5 years ago. One guy, it was really sweet. It was like he said, I like your videos, and he was like, but there's too many ads in your videos. And I'm like, I really can't. There's not a lot I can do about that, because it's like YouTube does that. There used to be back in the day before they upgraded. You used to be able to go in and like take out like ads or just say where you want them placed. I haven't found that in the new YouTube studio. It confuses me, but when I do, I want to have less in there. But one of these days, I'll have a whole like Patreon or merch or something. I will never have to monetize again. That's my goal. After Dark, I got to do more After Dark. Do you have a Bob Ross magazine? I do not. Did not know there was a Bob Ross magazine. Some old videos, DVDs that keep drawing me back, nighttime soaps, personal favorites. Oh, are you a nighttime soaps fan? Because if you are, you get extra special cool points, because I am a huge fan of that. And I think if you're if you're older or if you were into acting, then you kind of tend towards to lean more towards that stuff. Whereas some people are like, will dismiss it. They'll dismiss like a soap opera. Or if you're a writer, if you're an actor, you get some of the things that are there. There's certain things that kind of just you gravitate towards, and you can, especially with certain ones, you're like, oh yeah, I love the way that was done, the way it was constructed over a period of time. Like, so you update some of them. Actually, I'll definitely do an update on some of them. Anyone particularly want updated? Because the thing is, right now, I don't have any more stuff coming until like next Thursday, if it comes in on time, and then it's going to be probably late August before I get any more stuff. Nighttime soaps, Dallas Dynasty stuff. Definitely, I can do that. And you guys got to be like, and I did what I'm doing in October. I thought I was going to be in Morocco. I really did. So initially, my plans really got changed, because I was supposed to be in Morocco, and I was going to do my October shopping in London, and I was going to film it, and I was going to do like live videos all throughout October, and I would intercut them with some kind of like London videos. So yeah, that was the that peek behind the curtains again. That's what was going to happen. Do I have General Hospital's night shift? I don't, but I really like it. Lasted 2 seasons, right? During hospital, I was one of the soap operas that had like a couple spin-offs. There was Night Shift, and there was what's it called, Port Charles, right? The one with the vampire. Star Time remind you of Black Christmas. Star Time creeped me out a bit, Ragman. I gotta say that Star Time did creep me out a bit. The ones that keep drawing me back. Actually, I gotta re-look at that one again. I gotta rewatch that one. I don't like to watch my videos over again sometimes. Oh, the came out a game for Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I heard about that. As soon as they announced that my kid like let me know. 50. Well, if you wanted the 50 movie box sets for Mill Creek update, congratulations. That was originally going to be tonight's video because I plan on doing two Mill Creek videos. One basically Mill Creek the beginning, kind of old school Mill Creek, and I'm going to be doing like Mill Creek kind of the later years, and I'm going to be kind of like comparing and contrasting. Oh, my kids have already like looked into getting it. But my oldest and my like speaks some Japanese, so they're good that way. They hinted at the Howling box set last year. From what I heard, basically what happened is they were going between Amityville box set, the Amityville like Curse collection, or they were going to do the Howling collection. They eventually went on to do the Howling collection, and then of course after that the box sets we got like Forgotten Jelly, the Angel sets, that type of stuff. It's been rumored since then back and forth that there was going to be a Howling collection, and the rumored ones were 4, 5, 6, and 7, which I would love. 4 is actually probably the closest to the book. Like it's usually one of people's least favorites. It does have Michael T. Weiss in it though, from The Pretender, and of course he was like Mike Horton on Days of Our Lives for years before Roy Critchlow took over and so on. But that's like the closest. I read the Howling books, and Howling 4, like a New Beginning or a New Nightmares, whatever it was called. That's pretty much the closest to what the novels are like. And then Howling 5 and 6 are really fun. Like there's the one about the vampires against the werewolves type thing. And there's the one in the castle, which I think is part 5. I really enjoy that one. And then there's Howling 7, which is crap, but I like to watch it anyway. But yeah, it's pretty bad, but it's fun. I hope it's true. I haven't seen any like notification that it is, but aside from that, it's been rumored for a while. But I would love to do that. Howling 3, that's Philip Morris. That was his second one. He did Howling 2 as well, the guy that directed that. But he made a much better like kind of werewolf style film called The Beast Within, and definitely it's not a werewolf, it's a different creature, but still it's cool. But no, all the Mill Creek ones are not actually VHS quality. Some of the early stuff is, because that's what they could get, but some of it was amazingly, you get like these really like pristine quality, like widescreen prints of films, and some I don't think that at the time they really should have had, because they'd have like certain like logo, like if you know the stuff. My Lone Ranger unboxing video, I'll show that again sometime in the near future. That's how I got started back into this stuff. I bought the Lone Ranger set and I just kept collecting from there. But yeah, like Mill Creek had some really good stuff. You just had to weed through, and some rare stuff too. Now a lot of it's come out. Like a lot of it's come out on like Vinegar Syndrome and Severin, companies like that have put out like a lot of the stuff that Mill Creek was initially putting out. But there was a time when your only way to find these films was to grab yourself a Mill Creek box set. I got the 12. I got the Girls, Guns, and G-Strings, the initial box set that they put out, but I want to upgrade to the Blu-rays. I definitely do. And there's really like, I don't have a big excuse for it, because you know what, Mill Creek stuff is cheap, and it's high quality now. So that's on me, because there's times that I could have said like. But yeah, because they have such. There's 12 like, of the Andy Sedaris ones. There's all 12 of them have been done on Blu-ray, and they have features too. Like even like that old box set that I had, the Girls, Guns, and G-Strings. Like a lot of them had special features and Easter eggs and stuff like that. There was like commentaries, there was like introductions. There were some of them were hidden introductions, where Julie Strain would come along, and she would just like be there, and she with Andy Sedaris, and she'd like flash and stuff like that. It was really fun. Andy Sedaris, like he worked, like he's passed on unfortunately. His director, he worked with his wife Amy Sedaris to make a bunch of these kind of action-y type films. He showed them on TMC. Did they cut them on TMC, or did they actually show them like uncut? What are your crap movies that, but you're still drawn to? Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that one. See, Northern Lights. I've been doing this here now for for about 9 years. Oh, nice. Well, who else but Joe Bob for that, right? The perfect house. And a lot of people don't realize that because, one, I got a smaller channel. Oh, dude, look for them at here and Dan, because there are some gems. Like there's some stuff there. I remember when they initially put out the Chilling Classic set, and you got it, and it was like there was like a there's a Peter Jackson film on there, and you're like, there's a Peter Jackson horror film on here, and then they got some trouble for it. So there's like 2 or 3 films that they actually found out afterwards, like they didn't have the rights to. Now that wasn't them. Like there was issues like that they thought they had the rights, and rights fell through, but the set was already out. So what they did was they had to recall a lot of that set and put out the set again with some substitution films. You didn't know that's what you do. You never do. That's like when you get some of those old BCI collections, like their drive-in classics ones that BCI put out, or their like some of the After Dark thrillers that they did. And Mill Creek did a lot of them afterwards. Now the reason behind that, and I was unaware, but I'm glad I know now, because, and if you haven't seen it yet, Heath, Serial at Midnight's channel, he did an interview with the guy, one of the guys behind Mill Creek. And if you never had respect for Mill Creek before, you will have it by the time that interview is over, because the stuff that they do and kind of the work that they put into it, wow. A lot of those guys came from BCI. And if you're a movie collector, like especially if you're my age and you like if you collect any of the animation or stuff like that, then you're going to remember BCI's incredible sets that they did for the He-Man and She-Ra, Brave Star, and shows like that. They were insane. Scared this 50 movie about, scared them. Like, is it like a fear, like an actual fear? Like, I can't go near the sets. No, they're really cool, actually. Trust me. You had the original Chilling one, and people used to get like really peeved with, because you get some of the 50 sets, right? And initially you get ones, and they'd be in these like cardboard sleeves, and the people are like, I don't like the cardboard sleeves. And then they put some afterwards in these other like sleeves, and these translucent sleeves, and they put a book with it, like a booklet. Like they keep like upgrading the way they're doing it. And now for a lot of people, just like a lot of people, they stack, which I like the cardboard sleeves. That was my preferred way. You'd have this black sleeve or a different color sleeve, and it would have like the plot of the movie, movies that were on the disc right on the sleeve. I love that. It was a hard cardboard. The disc never got scratched or anything. It was really, really well done. It is now, but a lot of the guys that worked on BCI clips actually now work for Mill Creek. So that's why you're seeing a lot of those. That's why when you notice a lot of those like BCI releases, like the the 80s teens ones, like ones that Hunk and Tomboy and stuff like that on there, showed up on Mill Creek, and then you started seeing these here Ultraman sets, and they have a mural. If you put them all together, they got a big mural, much like the He-Man and She-Ra sets. When you put them all together, there's a big mural. This is a nod to and a throwback to the original He-Man and She-Ra sets that were put out that had a big mural. That was a throwback to their early days in with BCI. So the BCI still lives on just under a different vise, different name. Why did I say vise? Okay. You love He-Man? Oh, BCI did the best ones. Got Von Monashira. I love the art cards on those sets. He has amazing art cards and great documentaries too. The Pendulum ones are they really? I got 2 of the Pendulum sets. I didn't know they were worth anything though, because they're so cheesy. Like they're fun, but like they're really kind of like fun, cheesy, low budget films. One year, for when I first started doing like those, Halloween, we started doing like the October month. One year, that's what I was going to do. I was going to do a whole month of those Pendulum pictures, and I was going to review like a different Pendulum picture every day for that month. But I got a new job at the time that I was going to do it, and it was pretty intense. The training stuff was pretty intensive, and the work was like it was like day and night. It wasn't like you're going from this time to this time. It was like all over the place. But that's one thing I was going to do. I should do a Universal Monsters video. Definitely, yes. I love Universal Monsters. I can definitely do a Universal Monsters video. It's so hot here, guys. Hold on. Got to do this again for 1 second. It's going to get loud. Yes. I should have brought a Coke with me. My better half went to the store and picked up my Cokes, so that's always a good thing. So we got 3 kinds, right? So we got the Quebec maple one, which I utterly adore, and the sugar cane one, which again, more sugar, the better. And then we got one, we said just to try it, called raspberry something. Don't stick away from the raspberry one. It's kind of like slightly better tasting Buckley's is what the raspberry Coke one is. For me anyway, I was not a fan. Did you do your priority mail? Most of the stuff that they're putting out, if you unless you chose like a more expensive route, is going through media mail. That's where mine's going. And my last media mail thing from Severin Pictures took 16 days. And I did a priority mail for and this is not on Severin. This is on like USPS and Canada Post. I did priority mail for the Al Abson bundle, because obviously that was a really expensive set, and it was my birthday present, and that took 18 days because it got stuck in the USPS. It got stuck in New Jersey. But the way that I see it, I'm just so super happy like when it gets here. So okay. What is New Adventures of He-Man? You always see that not knowing what. Well, see, there was the original He-Man series that came out, and then there was kind of like not a remake but different series. New Adventures of He-Man was really cool. It's a harder one to find, like the complete collection of. There was like a He-Man set that came out that had He-Man and kind of like, and then like the follow-up series, and then it had like the best of New Adventures of He-Man. Didn't have all the episodes, but if you ever get a chance to check it out, Red Raven, the New Adventures of He-Man, really really good He-Man series. It's really intense too. Everything's stuck in New Jersey. Well, New Jersey and New York are the place that is hardest to get like the shipping from. So if you have things that go through New York and New Jersey, that slows down the shipping time for everything. And because I work with a company that actually we deal with shippers as well, I can say that with quite certainty that once it hits New Jersey, it takes a little bit longer. It'll get there. I see. I've never been to. Well, obviously, I haven't been to the States since I was a kid. I only went through Maine at that point. Now my better half, she like lived part of her life in the U.S., like a nice part of it. She's from Morocco, but she went to university. She started out in what was it? Southern Carolina, something like that. And she ended up going to university afterwards in New York. And yeah, she's way smarter than me. But you're almost a Canada once? Oh, you should totally come. Damn Vice Mill Creeks that come with the original music. Yeah, because it's the set front. It's the same stuff from the. See, the reason that Miami Vice, because originally came out on DVD, and it came out a couple times. First, like a couple sets had like flipper discs, and then they put it out as a big set collection with no flipper discs. The same thing did with Dallas, and then like Mill Creek got it. So people often wondered why there wasn't very many features on Miami Vice, because there was definitely a lot of guest stars, a lot of big like directors and actors like came through the series Miami Vice, and there's like some plot lines and storylines that they could talk about. But Michael Mann, that the biggest thing for him, and the reason it took Miami Vice so long to come out on DVD and on Blu-ray, is because the music for Miami Vice was so entrenched with the identity of the series that any type of like fake music or any type of like sound alike would really, really kill the show. It wouldn't be Miami Vice. It'll be something else. It'll be a hollow husk of what Miami Vice is. So Michael Mann insisted that they get the rights to absolutely every song for the Miami Vice series. And yep, so it's included. So you get the Mill Creek when you got it. And AME, by the way, Miami Vice, it stands up. So good news. A lot of shows you'll watch them again like, oh no, this is totally like in its time period. Miami Vice is one of the ones that stands up. Okay, I'm here to talk about movies and drink tea, and I'm all out of tea. Weird. Oh God, I barely remember Weird Science actually. Was that Vanessa Angel? Like, did she do the Kelly Brock part in Weird Science series? Wkrp. I kind of think that they shouldn't have put out Wkrp without the music, because it was an important. Because music was really important to that show. Like, it's a bit of a radio station for crying out loud. And it has that like. Does anybody have the Wkrp set? Vanessa Angel, yeah. So I have seen the series. Because the one thing that you can't have missing from that with Wkrp set, and I hope it's there, is the song. The song for the series. The whole "Baby, If You Ever Wondered" song. That has to be there. You got the Wkrp. Does it at least have the original theme song? Because I picked up the Booker set because Booker, the series, the spin-off series from 21 Jump Street. And one of the biggest disappointments was turning it on and listening to this like generically bad music that didn't suit Booker at all, because the original theme song for Booker, the series, is like "Hot in the City" from Billy Idol. Well, at least got the original theme song. That's something. The only place that ever worked at is if you ever got the series. Remember, show Las Vegas came on in the 2000s with James Caan. So the original theme song for Las Vegas is a mix of a little less conversation, a little more action, like from Elvis Presley, and that's kind of like the I love Las Vegas, by the way. But anyways, that was their theme song. So when they went to Blu-ray or DVD actually, then the first season had a little less conversation, a little more action, but they couldn't afford to keep the rights to that song. So they did a new song for it called "Let It Ride," and it's one of the times that the Blu-ray song that they use for the series works. It works. I actually do like "Let It Ride." A very different like style song, but it suits like and most of the time they don't like spend enough time. Like they just say, let's put anything on there. But Let It Ride actually seems like they actually knew the show. I've seen, it's been a long time since I've seen like any of the series, the Weird Science series. But yeah, I did watch a bit of it. And I'm not going to lie, it probably was a lot of it was because of Vanessa Angel. Does Las Vegas have an actual ending? Not really. I mean, like, well, obviously, James Caan was in the first 4 seasons of Las Vegas, and then he was gone in the 5th season. That's when Tom Selleck took over. And I'm not quite sure if they actually got. I don't think they got a really good like conclusive ending to the show. The Larson ones. Knight Rider. Well, Knight Rider's like that one's all out. Hey there, Hadge. Welcome, man. You have a lot of these shows. So Hadge here, because I know, because I've seen his Instagram, he has a lot of the TV shows and stuff that we're talking about right now. Which Knight Rider has cover versions? Like I have the original Knight Rider. I got the first 3 seasons. So I think, doesn't the first set at least have the actual original Knight Rider song? Does anybody know? So if I popular songs. Oh, number three. Okay, that's for Knight Rider. That's all I care about. That, and as long as the cars are there and stuff like that. Kit and what's the one? Is it Cat or something like that? The other one, the evil car. Your favorite Boxsets a nanny? Were you a fan of you're like a Fran Drescher fan? Because you know, Fran Drescher, I'm gonna say it right now. She's hot. In the nanny, she was like super hot. You're like, oh, that voice, but no, she was super hot. I personally liked $6 Million Man. Car, thank you. Uh, uh, I have the set. I initially had the DVD sets, the new ones that came out, but I found the old Time Life box set, the big one. So I got that one and I gave the newer sets to my cousin because he was a big fan too and he didn't have them. But all you have to know is that the original song sung by Lee Majors in the Bionic Woman, like kind of the origin Bionic Woman episode of $6 Million Man. Don't worry, that's still there. So listening to him sing the song Jamie, you're not going to miss out, guys. You're not going to miss out. That song is still on the set. Do I have Automan? I don't have Manimal. I need to get Automan. They came out at the same time. I could get promotions. Big Fran fan. Yeah, me too. I remember her in Saturday Night Fever too. Oh, Goliath, the big truck, right? Was that the season 2 opener with Goliath, or was that season 3? Because the whole idea, for those that didn't watch Knight Rider, I'm sure almost everybody here probably has. When Michael Knight, or what he's originally called anyway, comes onto the show in the pilot episode, he doesn't look like that. Like he gets hurt. He's kind of killed, right? And when he's brought back, and the first thing they do is they have to change his face, and they make him look like the son, the missing son, the at that time presumed dead son of the institute that he's going to be working for. And so when the evil son, evil prodigal son comes back, then you get to see like David Hasselhoff play Michael Knight, and then the evil one. He's got a little bit of kind of a soul patch type thing. It's actually kind of cool. Stephen Nichols, Patch himself, right? And Stefan Cassadine. Well, Witchboard is such an amazing film. He does a good job in it. I always thought Steve Nichols was going to do more than he did, but I think he part of it was like he did soap operas and he really got known for them. Like he was a part of a super couple, and that had to be hard. For those that don't watch soap operas, back in the 80s, there was a whole like super couple phenomenon where basically they would have these action adventure storylines, and they would have these this actor and actresses that would be front and center. They would be they'd be called like super couples. They were better than regular soap opera couples because they always took front and center. The big truck is Goliath, and the evil like version of Kit is called Car. And there's a Knight Rider 2000 miniseries, like movie as well, that really didn't spin off to a series. They thought it was going to, but it didn't. And that had like a different voice for Kit, like a girl, I think, and Kit was different. And the guy was behind the car was kind of the cool Michael Knight type guy. And of course there was the series that I would love to own, and I think it's out there somewhere, but I'm not sure if it's still in print. There was a series that came out, used to come on like the Action, what's it called, the Action Zone or something like that. It was be on Saturday nights. And it was called Team Knight Rider, and in Team Knight Rider, there was like a bunch of different cars. So there was a car, and there was a motorcycle, and I think there was like maybe a truck or something like that. And one of the characters may like secretly be, unknowns to him, the actual illegitimate son of Michael Knight. Really cool show, by the way. Didn't last that long. Up there with like, it came on around the same time that like shows like Soldier of Fortune, Forever Knight were being broadcasted, and I miss that. I miss those type shows. People like talk about like this is the golden age of TV and all the really good shows like Game of Thrones and all that type of stuff, when all I would really like to see is kind of like the really cool, fun, cheesy stuff. Your grandmother's cool, man. Tell your grandmother she's cool. Especially if she got you to watch Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara rocked. Santa Barbara was the show. That was an intense, like, really cool show. And I don't think there's ever going to be a soap opera that's ever going to be as disturbing as like the Santa Barbara's like video rapist storyline. That was, you want to talk about something that's going to be dark and triggering. For those that don't know, Santa Barbara was a soap opera was in the 1980s. It was really popular and had some of the best actors that you can imagine. Like people that you wouldn't imagine to be in that type of show did incredible. But there was one particular storyline where an entire episode, I think it was a Friday episode, was there's this video rapist that's been going around. And he's been like raping and murdering these people on the show. And the main character on the show, like, or the main guy, like super couple, remember those I mentioned earlier? So there was a Cruz and Eden. So Cruz is a police detective that used to be like a spy, because soap opera, and Eden is his wife. So I don't know if she's pregnant or I think she's pregnant at the time. So she basically, there's a whole episode which totally deals with the fact that like the rapist comes in and attacks her, and we see her get like thrown through a glass coffee table. It's a really violent, really controversial episode, and they put up like a warning for it when it was on. Obviously, they weren't going to show like anything too bad, but it is very violent. As far as the violence go, they really wanted to make it uncomfortable, and man, did they ever. What was even more controversial is that afterwards, after it all happens, like when it goes to the Monday episode, she's, they go through the thing where she goes to her gynecologist and stuff like that. So, and he like, he checks out, makes sure she's okay. So the gynecologist, actually played by the guy that starred in Dario Argento's Inferno, by the way, he, unbeknownst to the audience, and especially to Eden, he's the rapist. And yeah. So that was a big storyline for that back then. The 80s was a different time. It was intense. But they did it very tastefully and very well. As long as they got like again, Lee Major singing the theme song, then I'm good. Then I'm good. Another World with a serial killer that worked with Mac and Rachel in place. Oh, are you talking about Robert Blossom? Yeah, he was in Deranged. He actually, and it was, of course, he was in. Most people know Robert Blossom from Home Alone because he's the next door neighbor. But yeah, Robert Blossom was a serial killer in another world for people that don't remember. Yeah, and he was really creepy. It had some of the creepiest scenes. There's a sequence there that's done much like, what's it called? Night the Hunter. Very much like Night the Hunter, where you see the body like down under the water. I've seen the Different Strokes episode of Bicycle. Yeah, that's actually the guy from Wkrp. The guy that runs the station. that's creepy in a whole different way. But they had those like very special episodes. Two Bodies in a Plastic Bag. Oh, you remember well. You know your stuff, man. I actually, that is cool. That is cool points right there, man. Fall Guy was fun. I remember Fall Guy. Anybody remember a show called Scarecrow Mrs. King? I used to love Scarecrow Mrs. King. Probably not one of the more popular ones, but still. See, Dallas, I grew up with like my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents, and every Friday night was Dallas night, right? So we'd before I'd go out every night, like we'd sit down, I'd watch Dallas with my grandparents, and then I'd go out like with my friends, and they'd let me stay out late, so it was actually kind of cool. Kate Jackson, yeah, post Charlie's Angels, and Bruce Boxleitner. Scarecrow. Your mom used to watch He. My grandparents watched He. I was never big on that because I was never a big like country music fan. Like I can appreciate a bit of it more now than I could when I was younger. Benny Hill, I love. I love Benny Hill. But one of my favorites back then, was a show called The Two Ronnies, which was brilliant. Riptide, I gotta get. Tales from the Gold Monkey used to come on Saturday afternoons, actually. Riptide had the robot. I remember like the first big Tarzan one I saw, and I was, when the show originally came out, I was like way too young. I wasn't even born. But Ron Ely did like basically he played Tarzan, and I had the album like Ron Ely as Tarzan in The Eyes of the Lion, which was a really good episode of Tarzan. The dynasty episode where everyone was shut up at a wedding, the Moldavian Massacre. Is the one you're looking for, which is end of season 5, opening season 6, I think. If you're a fan of the new Dynasty series, by the way, just recently, at the end of near the end of the season, around mid to end of the season, Moldavia started popping up, and that's going to get more, I think, bigger into the next season. Two Ronnies, Wayne Schuster, of course. I can tell by the clock on the wall that it's time to bid you one and all goodbye, so long, farewell. Sorry. Bruce Bottling Tron, yeah, it's the same guy. I got to open this up again because my thing started not getting all the messages. Cop show with Fred is Hunter. Actually, Hunter was originally going to be called Dirty Harry. That was originally going to be a Dirty Harry TV show. So for those that don't know, Fred Dryer was a football player. Got injured. He couldn't continue, and he went into acting. So he had a series which was really good called Hunter, and the original Hunter series actually was meant to be a Dirty Harry series. And Fred Dryer was a perfect choice for that type of role. He basically he was tough. He couldn't drive very well, so basically he would always be like busting his car up and getting a new car. And his do you remember his saying? Because every one of those cops, like they had a saying. Hunter was works for me. That was his. But what the best episode of Hunter for me, because it was really violent, especially, in the initial series. Um, he's going after this criminal, and he finds him in this like oh god, in like a construction area, and he's got a gun on him, and the guy's got like this, he's got something anyway. So and Hunter's just like, go ahead, please do something stupid. Was in the National Guard with Ryan Neely? Really, Mary? I was a huge fan of Ryan Neely. I hope he was a nice guy with your dad, because I was a big fan. From like Doc Savage to Tarzan, he was one of my favorite Tarzans. Oh yeah, Monk was germaphobe. Basically, Monk's wife was murdered, pre the first episode. Monk's based on a series of like detective novels, and after that he became like, he was a germaphobe before, but he became really a serious one. There was also another show that came on, and it was actually a Canadian actor that starred in it. He was like a chess master, and he lived in this hotel, and he would solve murders and cases, like in a which one's Dead or Alive? I remember the one where he likes the girl, but like she just can't take it, and she just ends up, he finds it like literally she's kind of insane. Nothing beats Columbo. Just yeah. Before I go, just one more question. Fred Gerard tried it for Sam. Well, Fred Gerard did do a role on Cheers later on, but he wouldn't have been right for Sam. He's that way too intense. My dad will be glad to hear that too, because my dad's a huge Tarzan fan, and well, yeah, it was originally supposed to be Dirty Harry, but he changed it to make it its own thing. He didn't like Cheers, but I loved Cheers when it initially came out. But I'll be honest with you, when me and my kids, like when they were coming over, because I'm in a second relationship. I was like in a relationship once before, and have kids from my first relationship. So my kids were coming over to visit when I had my visitation times. Then we went through the whole like Frasier series, and I said, well, you watched Frasier and you really liked it, and it's really funny. Let's go back and watch Cheers. And we tried to, and it just I don't know if it didn't. We couldn't do it. It just and I felt kind of sad, because it was like a big part of my childhood, and I was like, oh yeah, Cheers, I used to love this. I used to go watch it every week. It was so funny, and we tried to watch it, and we got into a couple episodes, and we just got really bored. Maybe it got better afterwards, but we just Shelley Long was definitely the best part of it. But I did like Kirstie Alley. I thought she had a really good, like a different type of working chemistry with. But let's not forget this, that Sam, if you ever watch the show Cheers, Sam has one love. It is not Kirstie Alley. It is not Shelley Long. It is the bar. Why didn't you go with Dirty Harry instead of Hunter? Well, with Hunter they had more. Well, Dirty Harry still, there's a possibility of more films coming out, and with Hunter they were never going to have to worry about like the rights. With that, with it, they weren't going to have to worry about like being like stuck in, like they could go anywhere they wanted to with that. It's kind of like right now, Ruby Rose just left Batwoman, right? So you figured we'll just recast Batwoman, and they decided no, they're not going to recast Batwoman. They're going to use a different Batwoman altogether. Someone's never been in the comics, and which seems like for some people it's like that doesn't make much sense. Why not just use like the same character? Well, they can actually, they can go out and just do a lot more when it's a new character, that they don't have to be like kind of like saddled with like with anything else. You actually, there's a Cheers. I know a place where there's a Cheers bar, and he almost got sued for it actually. Frasier's Best of Sideshow Bob. I love Taxi actually, Warlock. I'm a huge Taxi fan, so I'm not going to disagree with you there. I did think Taxi was better than Cheers. Who can name all three shows? What were the other three? What? Kelsey Grammer won 3 Emmys for plays in Frasier Crane on 3 different shows. Did he really? There was a Cheers. Now, see, the Cheers I'm talking about is in Newfoundland. That's still open. Cheers, Frasier. What's the third show? I know the actor that played the character, like the same character on the most shows, because that's Richard Belzer, who played Detective Munch, and of course Homicide, Simpsons, X-Files, Law and Order SVU. He did Wings. I did not know that, and I actually like the series Wings. It's pretty good. That is neat trivia, actually. Of course, the series Wings is where the guy, Tony Shalhoub, would star in Monk, came from. I'm still amazed every year that Simpsons is renewed for like another season. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, come on, let it die. Let it just go. And you know it's gonna be an epic thing when like Simpsons finally ends and they're like, this is gonna be the final episode. It's like the MASH, right? It was when it gets to its final episode. Except MASH like stayed quality all throughout. MASH, hands down, guys, one of the greatest shows that was ever written. Simpson behind the barn, put a bullet in his head. Look, how would you end the Simpsons? How do you, like at this point when it's jumped over the shark at least a half a dozen times? Did I like Andy Kaufman? Do you mean Andy Kaufman as like as the actor, or on Taxi, or do you mean Andy Kaufman as like the stand-up comedian, like on Saturday Night Live and stuff like that? We do like the Mighty Mouse thing. We'd get out there and he'd like play the Mighty Mouse theme. I did. Either way, the answer is yes. You got to watch MASH. MASH is one of the greatest like written series of all time. John Larroquette. And the first place we all heard him and didn't realize it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. He's the narrator. I used to love Night Court. Night Court was a really good show. Actually, the girl that was in Night Court first, before Marky Post came into it, she sang with Meatloaf, actually. I think it was Paradise by the Dashboard Lights? Because if you ever watch the video, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, with Meatloaf, then that's not, the girl that's singing with him is not the girl that sings it on the album. So the girl that sings it on the album is the girl that was the first girl in Night Court series, right, before Marky Post came into it. Now the girl that sings it in the music video, the one you see with the dark hair, dark curly hair, that's Carla DeVito, who would be much more famous later on for a song on the Breakfast Club soundtrack called "We Are Not Alone." So when if you've ever seen Breakfast Club, there's that big dance sequence in Breakfast Club. The song that they're dancing to is "We Are Not Alone" by Carla DeVito. She was actually on Card Sharks. Days World I like too, with Shadow Stevens. For those that are unaware, Shadow Stevens was an actor that started out as a DJ, and he would basically, you'd have Casey Kasem's like top 40, and during the 80s, like Casey Kasem was sometimes like he wouldn't do it, and they would have like Shadow Stevens would be like would do the top 40, and was really really good at it. He even had his own like kind of like comedy action movie. I think was called Tracks, but I can't, don't quote me on that. But I know Shadow Stevens did have like one film. Do I ever see it? After MASH wasn't very good. I was very disappointed by that series. Richard Mall played the devil. See, Richard Mall played like in so many of those like type of films. Like, did you see the Night Train to Terror? Because if you watch that, there's like 3 like movies within that, like 3 stories, and in 2 of the stories, Richard Mall plays different characters. Are you talking about Dungeon Master though, or are you talking about a different one? Because he was in Dungeon Master. He was like the bad guy in Dungeon Master. Okay, 1. You lose it. You're losing cool points for your comments on MASH. Just so you know. Because still, hands down, one of the best written shows of all time. And episodes like I Heard the Bullet, or dreams are are stuff that on TV or cinema just haven't been surpassed. He wrote a book about grifting. You definitely got to try again. Trust me. MASH, you got to try again. Start from the beginning and go through because it gets intense. House, I love them in House. Well, that's the thing. If you're the size of Richard Mall and you just got a look about you, aside from like playing bull on Night Court, right? Whereas kind of he's a lovable big guy. Normally, that's the type of roles you're going to get. You're going to get like the bad guy roles or the psychos or something like that. You're very rarely going to Richard Mall getting like a nice role. See, now I'm totally disagreeing with that. Like TV shows got good around Married with Children. I mean, Married with Children was good when it came like as kind of being the anti-Cosby type sitcom, but no, TV was so good way before that. There was so much good stuff. But the reason that a lot of it early on seemed formulaic was because formula worked. And there's the thing: if a show had a formula and it didn't work, there's this thing called getting canceled, and it would. But obviously a lot of them didn't. So those shows worked. And then there's shows like The Fugitive, which pretty much it set a pattern for a whole bunch of shows afterwards. Because you gotta like the Fugitive came out, and then there was Incredible Hulk, which is of course had its own thing. It was similar, but it was still it was kind of like the Fugitive. There's like a bunch of shows, Nowhere Man, and they had that kind of mold to them. But the reason they had that mold, the reason that they went with that, is because it works. And if something works, and it is done well, then you're going to do that. MASH did actually run longer than the actual Korean War. That's an actual fact. And budget does not necessarily give good quality to a series. But should it be? But should it be more like movies? Is that what you really want? Like, should there not be some sort of differential, like between it? There are some great like TV shows, and like throughout the years, I mean, like you go into the early stuff. Just so many well done shows. And you rob yourself if you like say, okay, I'm not watching TV or watching any TV shows before this time period. This here, like, where's it at right now? Outer Limits came out in 1963 to 1964. This is an amazingly well done series. To the point that when they redid the series, although like a lot of it was extremely well done, like still some of the episodes could not live up to what the original series had done. Twilight Zone is the show that can't, like they've done so many iterations of Twilight Zone. The original is still the best. Same with Alfred Hitchcock Presents. It does though. I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to totally disagree with you in that MASH 100% holds up. Twilight Zone, I will fight you on the hill that if you say Twilight Zone doesn't hold up to this day, or that Outer Limits doesn't hold up as a TV series, or Alfred Hitchcock Presents. A lot of those definitely hold up. It was the Alfred Hitchcock Presents crew that made Psycho. It wasn't a movie crew that he used to make the movie Psycho. No, Psycho was a big risk for Alfred Hitchcock. So when he went to make the film Psycho, he took the crew that worked on Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and he used them to do Psycho, and that's the reason Psycho was in black and white as well, basically because there was a lot of risks with Psycho. That wasn't it, that was one where he didn't think he'd coast on the name, and he didn't know if it was going to go over well. So yeah, that's a. And then there's things like All in the Family, which Mary Tyler Moore show. But there are some great like modern day shows. I'm not like going against any like modern day series, but I'm just saying like some of the classics are classics for a reason. Mary Tyler Moore, it was such a cool show. Ted Knight was amazing. Golden Girls, yeah, another one. My better half is like we were talking the other night, and she was like, I can't wait till I can retire and just sit back and watch all my Golden Girls seasons. Eventually, once we get to Morocco, we'll hopefully eventually be able to do that. Sit back and watch some of the shows that we can't watch right now. I think that you are going to be very alone in saying that All in the Family was boring and that Golden Girls were boring. Hershey's chocolate syrup for the blood. It's the right consistency, and it worked in black and white. Happy Days good. Now, no, Tyson, that the Happy Days seasons do have music changed in it. The episodes are still good, but there will be music changes in Happy Days, especially like a lot of the early stuff. Did I show the Mighty Morphin part? Did I ever show it? Yeah, it's right here. This is the initial one. This is Mighty Morphin Range and Powers era, with of course the white Ranger. This is the first 3 seasons, and it has the Alien Rangers, I think, in that one as well. Then after that, we had Zeo Turbo in space and Lost Galaxy. And in space was when it really started getting good. Then when it got amazing, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force especially, Wild Force, Ninja Storm, and Dawn of Thunder. And ending off with SPD, love SPD, Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive is okay, Jungle Fury is really good, and RPM. That's all the Power Rangers box sets. I gotta get the Lionsgate ones for the newer ones, but they broke them off into like series, like original and super. So Tonight in Caddyshack, he did actually. He was really good in Caddyshack. Nobody got the bonus question. I said Hershey's chocolate syrup. I was right. The bonus question. The stabbing sound? I don't know. If I was to say for something like that, nowadays, what would you use? Back then, maybe watermelon. But I'm not sure. That's a good comment there, Dave. You like what you like. There's the thing. Everybody should be able to like what they like. I didn't like the Golden Palace, actually, the Golden Girls spinoff. Like the charm was gone. My better half, I'm sure if it comes out on DVD or Saturday, she'll probably grab sometime. Originally, the Ted Knight show you're talking about was called Too Close for Comfort. And when they moved from him being in there with his 2 really hot daughters, to him going and running going to getting a newspaper in a small town, then they called it the Ted Knight Show. And then of course he died, so they couldn't continue it. But it was still successful, even when it was the Ted Knight Show. But Too Close for Comfort is the one I think you're thinking of. That's where he played a cartoonist, and the cartoon character that he did for a newspaper was called Cosmic Cow. To each their own, but I don't think they were. But everybody likes what they like. See the effects, guys. So it is a melon. So I'm kind of right. I said watermelon, but I was right on it being a melon. Sports. Actually, Chris McNichol was in a show called One Day at a Time. The girls from Too Close for Comfort. One was a busty blonde, and God, she was in a few things. I can't remember what her name is right now. The other one was a brunette, and she was in. I think she was in Warriors, the movie The Warriors. She was in like a few different things, but I remember like from the film. I'm pretty sure it's The Warriors, but Chris McNichol did One Day at a Time. So, but they were on around the same time. Oh, Empty Nest. Okay, are we talking? Oh yeah, because that's Dinah Manoff, right? From Grease. That's the one with the guy from Soap, right? As their dad, like the doctor. But she's definitely an Empty Nest. I got that wrong. So there you go. See, I got to be wrong at least once. At least once. Do I like the film Leave Her to Heaven? I don't remember it actually, to be totally honest with you. Home Improvement I remember, because, Hello Neighbor. And of course the Tool Time Girl, so just saying. But, guys, you know what time it is right now? It's late and I gotta get up early tomorrow. Valerie Bertinelli. From which show? Are we talking about One Life, One Day at a Time here? I can't do an all-nighter tonight because I promised my better half that I gotta go to the beach with her. She's like, we're getting close to the end of the summer, and she's like, the beach, the water is like her thing. So she got very excited when I got it there last time. Okay. I'm not in my movie library. I'm super hot because this fan's super loud, but I gotta turn this on in a second after I go. So, sake. I would love to be drinking something like that right now. I don't remember who I am. No, I am Aaron. This is my study. This is where I do a lot of my work and my creative side of this app. You guys are the call to cinema. Like whatever you want to like. Find boring whatever you want to find boring. You're all cool either way. But have a great evening there, guys. I will talk to you guys again really soon. And I'm thinking my next video is going to be down the movie library. It's hope my iPad's really bad and it's getting worse every day. But I'm going to try to make it work. And we'll try to do the early Mill Creek stuff. And you're definitely cool, man. So hopefully it won't take too many reconnectings. So have a great evening, guys. Thank you for joining me here. Thank you guys. I had a fantastic night. And as always, watch some cool movies, see some cool stuff, and keep being you. It's time for tea.